Hello, this is the first episode of a new podcast called the Free Thinkers Podcast, and it's a companion to the blog, which is Free Thinkers 75. This has taken quite a long time in coming. I'm pretty much a beginner at this, so I might need a bit of time to hone my technique and my delivery. But I just want to do a quick shout out to the podcast which really made me finally do my own, which was the Smells Like Human Spirit podcast, which you can find at smellslikehumanspirit.com, and it's run by a gentleman called Guy Evans, who's a Welshman who lives in New York. Okay, right, I've already posted the intro to my blog, and this is really just going to be an audio version, perhaps with a bit more discussion. So I'm just going to go through my blog. My main interests, I have many interests, but I'll give you a few. Alternative politics, psychology, philosophy, and general inquiry about the nature and essence of people and the world. If that sounds a bit heavy, I'm also very interested in music, films, and on my blog I've got some prose writing. I may even do an audio version of that, who knows. I've also already recorded a podcast about the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles fan. And there's also a video I made about the film 10 Rillington Place, which is quite an old film. It's starring Richard Attenborough and John Hurt, based on a famous murder case, which I have some knowledge of. So I've done an unofficial audio commentary with somebody who wrote a book on that subject. So yeah, quite a variety of topics. So anyway, here we are, 2013. It's Sunday, November the 17th. 2013 is undoubtedly a year of change. Okay, any year is a year of change, but I think in terms of the news and the kind of news which is now coming out into the mainstream, it has been a year of change. Of course, the talk last year was of 2012 being the year, but that didn't really happen. I'm very cynical about this Mayans thing. I'm not cynical about the Mayans or that they predicted the end of one age and the start of another, but of course that's very difficult to prove that it's the end of one age. I mean, what people, of course, we're all conditioned to be waiting for something tangible to happen, to say, oh, look at this, you know, I've woken up today and everything's different. It kind of reminds me a bit of the millennium. Whether or not you think the millennium was the end of 1999 or the end of 2000, there was this weird sense in the air, and I probably had it myself, that you're suddenly going to wake up on the 1st of January 2000 and you're going to feel different. It doesn't really work like that. It's a very gradual thing. But what I'm cynical about is this whole thing about the Mayans predicting the end of the world. To me, it really is just another chance for the newspapers to make fun of and debunk anything which is sort of different, or anything spiritual as well. It's incredible how spirituality is treated with caution, fear, and ridicule. But 2013 is certainly having a lot of significance. Two things which have happened in the last few months, of course, the Edward Snowden revelations and the decision not to invade Syria. I have to be honest, I was pretty sure that an invasion was going to happen. I'll probably talk about Iran at some point in the future. I'm not going to go into it now. But, you know, this is serious stuff that's happening. You know, you can't just laugh it off. But, of course, the fact that it is so serious is probably a lot of the reason why it is ignored. You know, we've all got other things to do, and I think there's a lot of emphasis now in culture on the feel-good factor. You know, and all these entertainment shows, you can knock them and you can say that sport is given too much importance, and I probably agree with that, but it does have a feel-good factor. And I mean, you know, a lot of the truth is not much fun. You know, the rabbit hole is can get difficult depending how far you want to go down to it. Right, a word about alternative politics. This is a view of the world that recognises politics, as seen in the mainstream media, as a game. I would say to anyone, try to watch some of the BBC sitcom Yes Minister, which came out in the 70s and the 80s. I think it ran for about 7 or 8 years. Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister. I think this has grown in significance over the years. I think it's incredibly prescient and you will see that it's a game, and it's a game where you have two sides which may well be in collusion with each other. I liken it to the idea, if you're Mr. Coke and you've got Mr. Pepsi in competition with you, you can do one of two things. Number one, you can try to wipe out Mr. Pepsi and create your own monopoly, or you could ring Mr. Pepsi up and say, why don't we have a duopoly, and we'll give the illusion of competition, but we'll carve it up between us. That is a far more sensible business decision. Okay. There was also a sitcom called The Thick of It, which I think people would be younger people would be much more aware of, sort of an updated version of Yes Minister. But the way I look at it, a conventional political decision will invariably end up with name-checking of rival political parties and some discussion of broad left and right, conservative and liberal viewpoints. Now, there's no doubt that there are conservative viewpoints, there are liberal viewpoints. There is a thing called left and right. And if you take gun control, those who think the guns should be taken away would be left-wing, and the people who say that people should have guns would be right-wing. Okay, so there are certain issues that there is a left-wing and right-wing stance. Now, the beginnings of the idea of left and right was, of course, goes back to the French court around the time of the Revolution, and those who sat to the left of the monarch, I think I'm getting this right, were anti-monarchy, and those to the right were in support. So basically it was left and right on one issue. Now what's happened now is if you look at, I've seen breakdowns of what a conservative is and what a liberal is. You can look at the top 20, 25, 30 issues, and there's a very specific stance that a conservative or a liberal would have, or a left or a right winger would have. Now this is really being constructed, and why is it being constructed? Well, one reason could be that it's a way of dividing people. That may sound cynical, but think about it. There's a good website called politicalcompass.com, and it's been very carefully created, and it gives you the left and right spectrum, but also the libertarian authoritarian spectrum, and then it plots the individual parties. Now I had to laugh at the time of the American election last year, when I found that Obama and Romney were pretty much on top of each other in terms of being almost indivisible. Should we really in 2013 be discussing gay marriage and abortion? Surely I think it should be a given, but then I'm probably a liberal. I'm a left-wing liberal. That's what I am. I'm a left-winger. But so basically this has got a lot of limitations, and I think it just it's there to curb progress. It's there to keep the left and the right. It's there to keep people fighting with each other. And I'd be pretty happy to give examples of that in the future and to debate that with anyone. On my blog, the whole purpose of it is for people to read the blog and reply. I thought about doing it anonymously, but then I suppose that might invite suspicion of why doesn't he want anyone to know his name? But I think the main thing, I'm not really trying to promote myself. I'm not interested in being sort of an internet celebrity. So it's just about information, really. But I'm all for debate, and I think that's what it's all about. We've got this platform, we've got podcasts, we've got blogs, we've got a way to reach the whole world, potentially, but certainly hundreds of people, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. And what we need is dialogue. So let's just go back to what I was saying. Alternative politics sees the need to tackle issues which are never touched in mainstream media for a myriad of reasons.